I am VP of Sales and Marketing for Tech Valley Shuttle. And the whole point of this webinar today is to go over commuter benefits. Now, commuter benefits sounds like it would be simple, but there's a lot of nuances to it. And a lot of ways that a lot of our partners and a lot of people around the country are utilizing commuter benefits to reduce, to increase retention, boost morale, and offer a fringe benefit for their employees and retain workers. So with that, Tech Valley Shuttle has been around since 2016. We started out in the hospitality industry. That's why it's in the name. We have since transitioned with the pandemic and everything else, from providing just general transportation to weddings and everything else. But one thing that we really have honed in our skills on is our is in the commuter benefits, and I'll explain a little bit more about that. Now, we have a team of great leadership over here, including our founder and president, Trent, our VP operations, myself, and also our customer experience manager. Together as a team with months and months of research, we designed this program and also did all our research on commuter benefits so we can educate everyone and let them know what's available and what they can do, because in this job market today, we kind of have to get creative with how we attract our employees. So commuter benefits. What does commuter benefits offer? There's tons of advantages to commuter benefits, everything from planned workforce. So what does that mean? Planned workforce is if you know how your employees are getting to work, if you know in public transportation or anything else like that, you know when public transportation runs, you know ideally when your workforce is going to arrive. You can also use it as a recruitment tool. So a lot of employers, they think about their employees' well-being once they're in the building. A lot of employees don't even know that they can even have an option to help with their commute to and from work. I know we've all done it, and we've all dealt with hiring an employee, great employee, and then something happens and unfortunately they no longer have transportation, and we spend all that time onboarding and bringing them in just to have them no longer on the team. So with that, commuter benefits also adds a benefit of, or a pro, I guess you could say, of reduced attrition due to time and attendance. Depending on whatever options you use for commuter benefits, there's some that are really structured, like our Driven to Work program, and then there's some, like I said before, with transportation and other options as well. So also added benefit of commuter benefits. I'm saying benefits provides. This is actually a program that was started by the federal government to help subsidize transportation costs for employees all over. So with that, I'll explain a little bit more later on, but it actually helps decrease employer taxes as well. So what are commuter benefits? Commuter benefits is a tool that you guys can keep in your back pocket to increase your retention and your recruitment. So it covers just about everything, from car commutes to public transit, walking or biking also is included in it as well. And so with that, since employees are already paying to get to work, it makes sense to offer them a way to save. Commuter benefits allows employees to set aside tax-free money in their paycheck to pay for their commuting expenses. Commuter benefits apply to mass transit, ride shares, and qualified paid parking. So with this, the employees' expectation of a fringe benefits have changed. The benefits that employers are offering need to meet the needs of the workforce. very different than it has ever been before. So when we're looking at the talent that is available and what we have to do to attract and retain talent, employers are looking beyond insurance and starting to focus on more unconventional benefits and perks. I shared this story, something that was mind-blowing to me. But there was a company in your area, Hill and Marks, that during employees, they raised their wages from $15 to $19.50, I believe it was. And to ensure that it was even more lucrative for their employees, they added an attendance bonus. So if you showed up for the full week, you got $80 on top of your normal paycheck. So that was their way of getting creative to help them get through the pandemic and to bring on new workforce. So with that, I know this sounds all very high top end, and I want to explain a little bit how we can drill down into that and how this makes sense for your organization or anyone's organization. As we know, public transportation is not used the same way in the US as it is in other countries. The transportation systems vary from state to state, or in upstate New York from county to county. With over 45% of the population not having access to public transportation, this is especially true in rural areas and places that have access to public transportation that may not be convenient. So with that, when we say may not be, this isn't a problem that they have in Albany, that they have in other populated areas. Unfortunately, it is. There's transportation doesn't. And to give you an example is right here in Latham, there's Sonics that opened up on issues with employees, especially for their second shift, because the buses there stop at 10:30 and their second shift goes until 11. So they were trying to figure out ways to get around it because they were seeing there was a dramatic decrease in employees wanting to take those shifts. So even in a populated city, even in a place that has a bus line right next door, there's issues in things like that arise. So due to the lack of public transportation, 87% of the people in the US commute to work by driving, and the average household owns 2 cars. And with that, this here also limits a lot of options for where people can work. So there's people that look at your job postings and they're looking at companies and they're like, oh man, this looks like a great opportunity for me. This fits my skill sets. Oh, I can't get to it. Oh, it's too far for my grandma to drive. You know, I don't think the bus route will go there on Sundays, and it says I need to work Sundays. So whenever job listings that they are offering commuter benefits and they're offering transportation for their employees to get to and from work, and they saw a dramatic increase in applications on their job postings. So payroll options. So with this here, I explained before that this is something that's made by the federal government for pre-tax deductions to subsidize transportation costs. Like I said before, you can use this for anything, everything from bikes, ride shares, Ubers, bus passes, or a program like our Driven to Work program. So the way this works, there's a few ways to go about it. There's tons of details that I can't get into because I'm not super qualified for, but there's tax breaks that you can get for having a commuter benefits program. And then also, since it's pre-tax, there's less of a hit or no difference at all in employees' paychecks. So employers pay for the employee's transit, van, pool, parking expenses. In return, the employer receives a tax deduction for the amount up to the monthly limit for each commuter. And I'll go into those details in a little bit. Employer pays for their commuter expenses with pre-tax incomes deducted. They pay no taxes on the deductions, and the employers benefit from lower payroll expenses and payroll taxes. So this is a way where in the past we've had employers who have sponsored services. This is a way to subsidize it to make it easier for everyone all around. Had a video that I wanted to play for you guys. I'll post this one here in I guess in our follow-up email so you can see that. Unfortunately, the sound for the videos are not working, so I won't be able to play it for you guys. So this is some results from a labor survey done by New York State. With this, the most common barrier that prevent a business from hiring a job candidate are all listed here. And as you can see, some of these here are actually gone up since the study was done in 2021, and then when they released the study in 2022. If you take a look here, 33% of employees in this study said transportation was a barrier to employment for them. Now, we know another big one is also childcare as well. But keep in mind, that's 33% of your workforce that are probably struggling with transportation. But since it's not normal for you to go to your employer and talk about it, it's something that they just deal with on their own. I think the best way to help increase employer morale is if an employer finds a way to not only provide a good work-life balance, but also have a holistic approach, both inside and outside of work. So, of course, depending on where you're at, there's support services that are available, but then there's many areas where they're not. There's, like I mentioned before, there was public transportation, but then there's also those transportation deserts, even in highly populated areas, where if you want to go from, I can give you an example locally, if you want to go from Saratoga to Lake George, a popular spot, you can. If you want to go from Albany to Lake George, it is a long trek. So there's gaps in our current transportation systems that employees have to learn to navigate. And once again, commuter benefits is a way to help alleviate a lot of those stresses. Savings come along with this. Employers save over $19,000 on average per associate in the payroll annually in tax costs. Subsidies versus pre-tax deductions. Subsidies is employer paid benefit, whereas pre-tax deduction is an employee payroll deduction. Commuter benefits can be offered as a subsidy or a pre-tax payroll deduction, or a combination of both. Basically, like I said, with the job market the way it is, we kind of have to get creative, and this is another tool that you have in your tool belt. Offering the benefit as a subsidy is more cost effective when considering giving an employee the equivalent raise in salary or other tax advantages. A subsidy can save the employer on payroll taxes and on having employees having to pay additional taxes on higher income. So I said before that I was going to talk a little bit more about the limits and what this looks like. Once again, I am not a HR professional or a tax professional. So with this here, this is just straight from the IRS's website. So for transit and van pooling services, you get $280 a month that you can do pre-tax from the employee's pay. Like I said, because it's pre-tax, it makes very little impact on their net income or their net pay because it's done pre-tax. So you can combine that too with other qualifications, everything from parking to other transit opportunities. Like I said, this applies to so many different modes of transportation, everything from buses, ferries, trains, anything like that as well. So, of course, things that are not covered are the normal things, like if it's fuel, because they would have a vehicle, mileage, or anything else like that, or residential parking. So, explained a little bit about what commuter benefits is. I'll explain what our Driven to Work program is. Our Driven to Work program, it provides a commuter benefits program that makes it just easy and turnkey for your organization to not only help your employees save money, recruit from areas you previously couldn't, boost employee morale, which I feel is a big one, and retain your employees. Right now, even internally, what I'll do is I'll share with you guys one thing real quick. So this is so new that it's actually, we were actually, I don't know if everyone see that, but we were actually just awarded Albany Business Review's Best Places to Work for 2022. So this is something not only that we show, we also prove with our culture of holistic approach when it comes to employees' morale and well-being. So our transportation solutions are best in class because we have professionally trained and experienced drivers. In total, our drivers have centuries of combined driving experience. We have over $2 million in commercial auto and liability coverage. We have an impeccable safety record. So in the 5 years that we've been doing this, actually, I think this month probably would make 6 years that we've been doing this. Yeah, 6 months, 6 years this month. We've had 0 accidents. So with that, that puts in the top 2% of all motor carriers in the country. Not many motor carriers can say things like that. So if you would want to partner with us here, even if you have more questions on commuter benefits and seeing what it would be like, there's a couple things we would do. Example addresses for where your employees are. We would do a commuter analysis for you, not only showing you what we would need to do to get your current employees to work, but then also helping you target other areas where you're traditionally had gaps in recruiting those areas and be more strategic. And then after that, we would, put together the program and then get your employees driven to work. So with that, I know I just dropped a lot. We spent like 17 minutes. I wanted to open it up to see if anyone had any questions. Oh, all right. Did anyone have any comments or anything like that?
I do have a question. I work a lot with Lake George, and you mentioned Lake George. Are you already providing services to any businesses in that area? Because it's a big issue. Staffing is huge, as it would be in Fulton County. Staffing's a big issue.
So that's something that we deal with on the regular, especially up there. So I'm pretty sure you were aware of during the partnered with Six Flags, and we pulled employees from Albany, Troy, and Schenectady to and from work. Is something.
Yeah, I was thinking Six Flags especially because I know they didn't used to have anything like this. They used to have people like carpooling lists in the staffing area, but so that's a great thing then.
Oh yeah, so many amazing pockets of communities in the capital region. There's so many people who are in Albany and don't even realize that Lake George, Warren County, all those beautiful places are so close to them. I think it was an eye opener for a lot of people who were able to go up there and work during the summer season and just get out of the normal rat race. So yes, we've done a lot of work in Warren County and with Six Flags in particular. Anyone else?
Hi, this is Ron Peters, the Fulton County Center for Regional Growth. Do you have a draft agreement you could send out?
We can. I would have to check with our our other departments if we can send out that information, because yeah, we could probably do something like that. But did you have a question about what's in our agreements or anything like that?
I'd just like to see a copy of it. That's all.
All right. Yeah, I'll reach out to the team and see if that's okay for us to send out. To give an example, a little bit how our
You're breaking up a lot when you're talking.
Oh, I'm sorry. That is weird. I wasn't aware of that. Can you hear me now? Or is it better?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So with that, we work with a lot of organizations, and I'll just give you guys a rundown of what it looks like on the day to day. So with that, for example, it all varies on wherever the location is, of course, and how long. We have some organizations where they have multiple shifts, 7 days a week. We have some organizations that are just 5 days a week. So costs would vary there. But with that, it's not even, we usually don't break it down into a per employee type of thing. It's super easy. It's a daily cost. You would have a dedicated vehicle size that you would use, whether it be something like our 11 passenger Sprinter, or we can even do like one of our minivans or one of our shuttle buses, and you fill it up and we get those people to and from work.
I have another question. Have you ever worked where there were multiple businesses or organizations together because they wouldn't be large enough, like Six Flags?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we work with organizations of all sizes, and with our pricing, it makes it affordable, especially with the subsidy that's available. So with that, there's a number of industrial parks. There's example, we did a service with Latham Pool Products during the pandemic, and they brought in a couple of the other organizations in the industrial park that was near them to bring in to help subsidize the cost, of course. So just the same way you could carpool and cut costs that way, I guess organizations can also do that if they work together with each other and work that way. Good questions. Am I still breaking up?
No, you're fine.
All right, good. Any other questions? Oh, all right. So I guess at this point, what we can do is we can end the webinar. I want to thank you guys to hop on. What I'll do is I'm sure we'll have the chamber send out a follow-up email. I'll make sure you guys have all my contact information. Way we can discuss more if you have any other questions that may arise. And once again, thank you for your time.